Retro Rewind. With me today is Miss
Ina Fox.
Ina Fox. Thank you. And what we thought we'd be doing is doing a review. Oculus versus PSVR, PlayStation VR. Which one's better? Which should you buy? Which should you avoid? Miss Ina Fox, you have spent the past couple days with the PlayStation VR doing a couple of really long streams. I think one of them was about 10 hours long, wasn't it?
Yes, I did an all-day streaming event on Friday, which included multiple different games because I wanted to do, a vast variety in case if you guys weren't interested in Batman or weren't interested in Here They Lie, for some odd reason you weren't interested in Here They Lie.
Or Bound, for that matter.
Or Bound, that you guys could, cover all sorts of streams.
Right, so you could not only see how the PlayStation VR worked with one type of game, but you could see how it would work with a 3D game, how it would work with a horror game, how it would work with a simulation game like Batman VR. And Loading Human, that's right, that's another one. Very great game itself.
It was amazing.
So we took a sampling of those games, which you played for about an hour each, but you put a lot more time into Here They Lie and a lot more time into Bound. Obviously, Bound, such a beautiful game. Here They Lie, too scary for me, but she seemed to love it. And what we did is we took that experience with the PlayStation VR, coupled with the Oculus. Now, you've had a chance to try on the Oculus at E3, which we tried Eagle Flight. Absolutely loved it, and that's what kind of kicked into that VR, gotta have it, gotta buy it, gotta try it. Yes, it's a little addiction that kicked in, and then we just kind of went from there. But also, while you were here and we decided to do this interview, I was like, hey, I've got the Oculus. You might not remember how it felt at E3 because it was a few months ago. Let's do a demo today so that it's fresh in your memory.
Absolutely.
And you can compare the two, kind of apples to apples.
Right.
And see which one is better. Now, without any further ado, the feel of the Oculus versus the PlayStation VR. Which one felt better on your head?
On my head, the Oculus is more comfortable, to be honest. The PlayStation VR is just a little bit heavier, but the Oculus is a little bit more comfortable, strap-wise.
Right. Is that, do you feel it gives you more room to breathe, or like, you're not as claustrophobic in it, or do you think it's just, feels like a ball cap you're wearing rather than a helmet or something?
It just feels a little bit more comfortable, whereas the PlayStation VR doesn't necessarily breathe quite as well as the Oculus Rift does. The one thing I will say about the PlayStation VR that I wish the Oculus had are the nose pieces here and around that kind of block out the light.
Yeah, with the Oculus, you kind of got this nose piece where you can see daylight through it. It's handy in some areas because if you have the headset on and you need to find whatever it is on your desk, you can kind of peep through the little hole and see what you need. But I can see how that can definitely be something that other people might not enjoy. They might want to be completely blacked out. Whereas I did find that with the PlayStation VR, it kind of blocked it out and put you in a dark environment.
Yes.
So that,
more immersive.
Yeah, it does. It does feel more immersive because if you have the Oculus on, although it feels great, you can kind of see what's below.
Right.
I use it so that I don't bump into things or step into, hey, where am I going?
Right.
Desk is right there. I need to find my keys or whatever. My phone's ringing. So I don't have to take the goggles off, but definitely if you want a darker environment and you don't want to see the light.
Like me.
Yeah, like you. PlayStation VR gets on that.
Yes.
What about audio? How do you think the audio compared with the earbuds included with the PlayStation VR compared to the Oculus actually having speakers?
The Oculus, the built-in audio, I believe the Oculus has that taken because it's built in, The earbuds, they're just not as great Now, that being said,
Right.
I think the rigs for VR are better than the built-in.
Yes, I would have to agree with you there, but that does kind of add
is
an
a separate
overall
purchase.
fee,
Right.
and it does add to the overall weight that's on your head.
Mm-hmm.
But with that being said, it's part of the price factor. Oculus is a lot more expensive, especially if you don't have a computer. Oculus, you're forking out a lot more than what you would fork out with a PlayStation VR headset and a set of headphones.
Mm-hmm.
So even though it does have it, price-wise, the Oculus is still more expensive.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you only had a chance to go through some of the demos for the Oculus, no actual real games or no plates. Eagle Flight, but I mean, that was like a 10-15 minute game. It wasn't hours on end. Did you notice any visual differences? Like, did you notice more clarity on one versus the other, or could you not tell? Or
I think the clarity is about the same,
mm-hmm.
but I think from what I've played so far, and granted, Oculus, I've only played the, like the demo
right
kind of games. I think that the graphics on the VR are better.
On the PlayStation VR.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Like you said, we've only seen the demo. We don't know for sure.
Yes.
I haven't dealt a whole bunch with the PSVR, so
Mm-hmm.
jury is still kind of out on that. It probably depends on the game.
Mm-hmm.
It would really be nice if we had. Well, I guess we could play Eve Valkyrie for both, and then we can compare No, okay, yeah, no, she would get
I
sick.
apologize. Eve Valkyrie made me entirely too ill.
Right.
So.
It would be nice though to compare same game Oculus, same game PSVR,
Yes.
and then see which one has the better graphics.
Mm-hmm.
So
Eve, you know
have
what?
to do
Eagle
that.
Flight.
Eagle Flight is available
Flight
for
is
both.
available for both.
That is an option, although when we played it up at E3, it didn't have that great of graphics. I mean, it was visually wild. It was a whole new experience. It was addictive, but it wasn't like
You know what?
realistic.
Albino Lullaby is coming on for both.
Yeah.
Thumbs up if you want Albino Lullaby. Spooky.
So
spooky.
we'll pass on Albino Lullaby for now. Maybe later.
Yeah, you guys feel me on that.
So you've had experience.
See, even my
with
lambs
both.
are doing the heart.
Yes. You've had a little bit of experience with the Oculus, only with the little remote,
Yes.
and not with the actual Move controllers or the joystick.
Yes.
In order to do a fair comparison about the controls in both, we'd probably have to go with the Xbox One controller. I do have the new Oculus Touch controllers on pre-order, so we can kind of compare those when those come in. Hey, how's the controllers compared to the Move controllers? Which one feels better in your hands,
Mm-hmm.
and which one interacts more?
However, I don't like the Xbox One controller.
That's true, because you are a PlayStation girl. I'm kind of used to the Xbox controller, so it feels good in my hands. But, hey, you got Xbox people, we got PlayStation people, we got PC people. It depends on which one you're used to.
Sorry, guys.
Yeah. One thing I will say about the PSVR is I felt, even though the cords were long, but you had to extend the cords and have that little adapter in the middle,
Mm-hmm.
and it felt kind of like you had to maintain in this one little circle with the PSVR. In other words, you had to stay pretty much stationary. Yeah, you could look around, but it didn't feel like you could get up and walk a couple feet here, walk a couple feet here.
Right.
I didn't really try that. Did you try that at all, or were you mainly stationary with your PSVR?
Well, that's kind of a loaded question because of my foot.
That's true. We'll take a pass on that one.
I have a foot injury. For people
She
who don't
has
know.
a foot
I have
injury,
a foot
so
injury.
she can't really walk
So,
around. In fact, you'll notice in her demo of the Oculus, she's sitting down.
Sorry.
So you really can't experience the full thing unless you stay in this big circle and you're able to walk around, peek around corners and stuff. So we can't really tell with that. My experience with the PSVR though was the camera, PlayStation camera, would often lose track of where I was at, and it was like, hey, look at this screen, or look over to your left, look over to your right, keep your controller up, and you had to constantly maintain within this box or the camera would lose sight of you.
I mean,
Did you notice that at all?
it
or
depends on the game. To
it
be
depends
honest,
on the game.
it depends on the game. Because, like, if, for example, Here They Lie,
Right.
Bound, games like that, it's it didn't really matter as much. It mattered mostly if you're, if the camera could pick up the sensor on your headset.
On your headset or the Move controllers, because if you turned around, then the camera would not be able to track the lights on the Move controllers or the headset.
Here's a tip: if you're having trouble with tracking, play in the dark.
Very good tip, actually, because
it helps.
Yeah, I didn't think about that, but you're right. The lights would be brighter, and it could track a little bit better. I did not try that, to be honest with you. I was playing with the light on.
It helps.
Tip of the day from Miss Ina Fox: if you're having a problem with the tracking, use the PSVR with the lights off. I mean, you're not able to see around the room anyway, so you're saving electricity. Go green.
It really does help with the tracking and everything like that because it's all light based.
Right.
And if you're in a lit room, then it can't read it as well. So just play in the dark. You know what I mean? And I didn't have as much a problem with it unless it was Batman VR, and we don't talk about that.
we don't talk about Batman VR.
We're gonna talk about Batman VR.
Not a bad game if you want to see what it's like to be Batman, but if you're expecting a Arkham Asylum Batman punch around, probably not for you.
Don't play with an ankle injury on a bed.
Another good tip.
Because then you're going to be like this the whole time, and then you're Seizure Batman, and nobody wants to play Seizure Batman. You want to play as
the Dark Knight, not
Seizure Batman.
Right, not the Batman Returns Batman, the colorful. Anyways, back to the comparison about the two. Now, price point, like we were talking about earlier, the Oculus Rift comes with the camera, comes with the little remote, comes with the Xbox One controller, the wireless adapter, the headset, the speakers built into the headset, and it's going to be about $600. The PSVR lowest model headset only with the earbuds
and the demo disc.
And the demo disc will run you...
And your sensors and everything, your cords, don't forget that.
It'll come with the cords, but it doesn't come with the camera. And it doesn't come with the Move controllers.
But if you have your Move
or
controllers...
an adequate headset.
If you have your Move controllers and your... I'm finding it because I bought the headset and everybody's all like, oh, but that was so dumb. And I'm like, no, I already had a camera and I already had Move controllers and I already had... So there was really no point in me.
Right, and I think that's part of the comparison too. Are you trying to experience VR on a budget? You know, if you only have $400 to spend and you have Move controllers and you have a camera, it's cheap. $400, not that cheap, but it's cheaper than the alternative going out and buying like the launch bundle where you would get everything. If you have nothing at all, you need the camera, you need the Move controllers, definitely go with the launch bundle. That'll be your better option. In the end, though, if you were going to compare the Oculus Rift to the PlayStation VR, I think you have to ask yourself first the one question. Do you have a PC that can even use the Oculus Rift? You know, I bought my Oculus and my PC wasn't good enough. Which I found, I mean, I made the mistake of not checking the requirements before I bought it. everybody was, I'd read the forums and everybody was like, hey, it's very system heavy, it requires this and this and this, and then I got my Oculus Rift and I realized that I couldn't run it, so I had to go out and buy a video card, which was
pricey,
$350 or so, and then got it home. It worked, but then it was like, hey, your processor is not high enough to meet the recommended. So I had to buy a new processor, and I ended up, before everything was done, just buying a whole new computer setup. So my Oculus Rift experience ended up running about $2,500. That's
pricey.
a lot.
That's a lot of money.
That is a lot of money.
Thumbs up if you think that's a lot of money.
Thumbs up and subscribe if you think that's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money.
That is a lot of money, and it's a lot of money.
It's a lot more money than I have
for an Oculus Rift.
Yeah.
I wanted the experience. I needed to update my computer anyway, so I went ahead and did that. But if somebody is not into PCs and they don't have that type of a budget, and they have a if they have a PS4 laying around, and they just want the virtual reality experience, because you have money.
I don't have money.
That's because you have 3 PS4s.
I have 2 now.
Okay. Anyways. What I was getting at was the price. If you can only afford so much and you have a PS4 sitting there and the other things, get a PS4 VR or get PSVR, because they are cheaper. The libraries, I think, will end up being somewhat the same. I think there will be a lot of games that are available for the Oculus and also available for the PSVR. Like Albino Lullaby, like Eagle Flight, like Eve Valkyrie. They're going to be available for both systems. So it comes down to the old, fight, and everybody's like, I'm a PS4 player, I'm a PlayStation player, I'm a PC player, PC gaming is the way to go. PC for life, Xbox for life, PlayStation for life, and then they end up separating into little groups. If you're a strong PC player and you have a PC that can run the Oculus, I think you'll be very pleased with the Oculus. If you're a PlayStation player and you love PlayStation and all things PlayStation, like her, then you would probably love the PSVR. Now, not everybody can handle all the games, and what I do like about the Oculus is before you buy the game, it has a little rating. And this little rating is how likely it is to make you sick. That would be pretty nice to put on PlayStation games, because that might deter you from buying a game that's pretty popular. Hey, I want the latest, I'm going to say, Battlefield. But then you look at the little thing on there and it says it's extremely likely to make you sick. That might be a factor in whether or not you should buy the game.
But to be fair,
right?
Maybe not everybody's the same.
That's true. Not everybody's going to get sick off of the same things, and that's something you should also figure out. Like maybe just do a sampling of one that's extremely likely to make you sick and one that's not going to make you sick, because it might be the one that's not likely to make you sick that actually does make you sick, and it could be the one that extremely likely to make you sick that you're fine with. I got a little sick with Here They Lie. It wasn't a problem with her, but on the Oculus with Showdown, I was okay and she wasn't. Another game that people say was making her sick was Drive Club for the PSVR. That was like one of the main games that people were complaining about.
I've
sickness.
heard that World of Tunes beta, people have been getting sick on that. I don't know.
So, it's up to the individual person, really, like what will make them sick and what won't make them sick. Supposedly the Oculus Rift they've kind of tweaked their audio settings and the visual settings so it's less likely to make you sick. So whether or not that's a factor, whether PlayStation has done something similar, I don't know. To recap everything, how would you compare the two items? What would you tell the viewers that are watching to buy? I mean, would you give them any pointers? Which one do you think is better? Even though you're a PlayStation girl, and I imagine you're going to say the PSVR.
If you want to VR and you're on a budget, I would go with PlayStation VR. It is the best entry level. It's, you know, it's bang for your buck. It's got a great selection of games. It's got some good apps, everything like that. Now, if you are fortunate enough to have a great PC rig and you've got the money to spend on an Oculus, then you can go with the Oculus. But just know what you're getting into before you buy.
Definitely another good
Yes.
tip. One thing that I do like about the PC version, and I'll say this just to get it out there, there are always a lot more mods for the PC, and I feel that there's a lot more software that will be available for the PC. Now, the mainstream titles of video games, they're going to be probably available for both, but there will be a lot of little separate titles that will be available for the PC and not on PS4. One thing I do like about the Oculus is it has a lot of video programs where you can watch like some Facebook videos.
Right.
You can watch some Hulu. You can watch some DVDs, some Blu-ray movies. That might not be available for PS4 in the foreseeable future. Maybe they're working on, you know, some apps for it. But to have that stuff available to you now with the Oculus might be what puts you over the ledge in spending the money on an Oculus versus a PlayStation. If you're just looking to put on a headset, experience VR, like everybody else, you know, play the mainstream title games, I'd probably go with the PlayStation VR. If you're looking for a more encompassed, you know, hey, I want to experience everything that VR has to offer, I'd probably go with the Oculus because I feel that it has a bigger library, especially if you have the funds for an Oculus. If you want to deal with just mainstream, hey, I put on the headset, I have an hour a day to play, or you know, a couple hours a week, I'd probably go with PlayStation VR, just because it gets your fix in, you are able to do what you need to do, and then you can leave, rather than the Oculus, you know, hey, I paid $2,500 on this.
Right.
I feel that I must at least get my money's worth.
Right.
So.
And then, yeah, so, I mean, I bought my PlayStation VR. I am super happy with it.
Yeah. Most people that buy it are happy. I don't
Super happy.
imagine there are many people actually returning it. Any
No,
parting words for anybody?
Go out and buy a PlayStation VR, and here they lie.
Yeah,
And bound.
And bound. And human factor, loading human factor. Or chapter, sorry. I keep saying factor.
Loading Human, Chapter 1.
Loading Human, Chapter 1, right.
Those are the 3 must-have on our list.
The 3 must-have for now. Even though the London
Heist was
London
fun.
Heist seemed to be pretty
Virtual
fun.
smoking!
So, that's pretty much our review between the two. I thank y'all for watching. We hope to do more videos somewhat like this, where we're just talking, battling it out, so to speak. Which one, because she's a PlayStation person, I kind of like Microsoft and PC, so it kind of gives you the opinions from both sides of the fence, which one would work better for you. I'd like to thank everybody for watching. Please like, subscribe to the channel, youtube.com/ShopRetroRewind. Please catch her on Twitch, twitch.tv/
Inafox.
INNAFOX. I'd like to thank y'all for watching. Please like, please subscribe, please help us to grow this channel.